What's going on, everyone? This is Eric Mincin of the Mincin Show, episode 3. Um, there's a lot to talk about tonight or today. Um, and I was kind of concerned that there would be no subject matter for today's show, but everything hit the fan quick. Um, Yesterday, we got a lot of news for the Mets. Some bad news, but some interesting news as well. And we'll start off with the bad news first, and that is Francisco Lindor's injury to the hamate bone. Um, and coming into the studio today, I was listening to the radio, and it seems like a not so big deal. He if surgery is required, which it looks like it's going to be required, he'll be out for about 6 weeks. Now, thankfully, people, when you think about it, it's not that big of a deal. Spring training is starting just today. Pitchers and catchers reported today. So it's not that big of a deal, 6 weeks. Opening days what seems like miles away from where we are right now. But 6 weeks is a long time for the hamate bone. Specifically, Jeff Passan said today, and we also got news that Jackson Holliday of the Baltimore Orioles is going down with a hamate issue, and Corbin Carroll. So I don't know what happened during the offseason with these players' hamate bone in their, it's like the bone underneath the pinky or whatever they said. And apparently it's not even a necessary bone to have. So a lot of the times these players just have it removed. Unfortunately, the problem is you end up losing power. And that could be an issue with most of these players, especially with Lindor. Now, the reason why it's not that big of a deal with Lindor would be because he has a power bat hitting right behind him. He has Soto. He can still be productive without all the power. And what Stearns has shown this offseason in building his new team is that he's not looking for power. He's looking for players that know how to defend. They know how to put contact on the ball, and not only just hitting for home runs. And home runs do win you games. They're fun to watch. But he's proven to the Mets fan base that this is not the only thing that will win you games. Pitching, defense, and keeping your eye on the ball and just hitting the ball and letting the defenders defend. And chances are you're going to have, and we saw it in 22. We saw it in 2022. Yeah, you had Lindor hit for power. Yeah, you had Pete Alonso. You had Nimmo. But Nimmo's power wasn't shown in 22 yet. He was still an on-base machine, still taking his walks. But that team hit for contact a lot more than they hit for home runs. With Marcana, Eduardo Escobar, Starling Marte, Jeff McNeil. It was a team that hit for contact, and they ended up winning 101 games. They collapsed. They could have won more, but they collapsed. We won't get into that, obviously, because we have in the past. And it was 4 years ago, so it's old news. But anyway, they've proven that hitting the ball for contact wins you games just as much as power does. And sometimes hitting for contact wins you more games. Instead of just hitting a solo home run like Soto ended up doing a lot last year. What he hit? 40 home runs and like 35 were solo home runs or something crazy. A crazy stat. You got to have guys that get on base. And if Lindor just gets on base and doesn't worry about home runs, the hamate bone injury, although it takes time to heal and it takes the power away, You can still live with Lindor hitting 280, 10 home runs, but still driving in 70 plus RBIs. You can live with that. Especially now, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, especially now that the team is built around contact hitting and not power. These guys can hit for power. Soto, 40 home runs. Jorge Polanco, 15 home runs. Marcus Semien, 15 home runs. They can hit home runs, but you no longer have Soto, 40. Alonso, 40. Nimmo, 30. Lindor, probably no more 30. And that's okay. But he can hit for average, and he can still get on base. And that's just as important. It's just as important. It's going to be not a short episode today, but again, maybe 30 minutes. Not a lot of subject matter here, but more than I thought. And it's good news and bad news, and here's why it's bad news for Lindor. But it could be good news. The good news out of it is it's only 6 weeks and spring training just started today. The games haven't started. I think they start next week. So it's good news in that sense. But it's bad news because now who's playing short? And you look at this roster and how it's built. You have a lot of guys that can play multiple positions. Obviously, Polanco, second, third, first, DH. You have Beatty, who's the new McNeil. Left, right, second, third, DH, first. But who's playing short? My first guess was Bo Bichette. And it seems like a lot of people forgot that we got Bo Bichette. Now, that was my first guess, and thinking about it and hearing other people's takes, I'm shying away from Bo Bichette playing short in replacement of Francisco Lindor. Here's why. The injury to Lindor is not a season-ending injury, hopefully, knock wood. It's 6 weeks, and he might miss a week or two of the regular season. The guy gets off to a slow start no matter what the case may be. He's 100% healthy. He's hitting 190 in the first 2 months. So you're not really missing much losing Lindor in the first 6 weeks of the season, especially spring training. It takes him 2 months to ramp up anyway, fully healthy. So that's why I'm not fully concerned with this injury. And that's why I also wouldn't move Bichette to short because he's learning a brand new position at third. I would not mess with Bichette's learning of third base. I would not mess around with it at all. I would keep him at third, let him play third, and worry about who's playing short instead. Now, who's playing short? You have Ronnie Mauricio. You have, I was going to say you have Luis Angel Acuna. You don't anymore. You have Mauricio. You have Bichette. Maybe you bring up a young guy. My guess would be right now Mauricio. He would play only a week or so at short, and then he's back to the bench. I don't think Beatty can play short. I wouldn't put Beatty at short. The injury to Lindor is not a long-lasting one, so it doesn't really matter who's playing short right now. I don't really care. I mean, you could put Soto at short, and we'll get to Soto soon. So that's why this injury, it's good news in the sense that it's not a UCL, it's not an ACL, it's not a season ending. It's still important because his power might be gone now, but it's not the end of the world with this team and the way that it's built. I think Stearns did a phenomenal job building this team, and it looks like the Mets are done with moves. We'll get that out of the way right now. It looks like the Mets are completely done. It looks like the guy that they got from Milwaukee, I'm forgetting his name right now, Myers, in the Freddie Peralta trade. It looks like he's going to be ramping up to be a starter. So that might be your number 6 guy. You have Christian Scott. You have, I mean, their rotation right now is fine. I wouldn't worry too much about their rotation, especially with the new Milwaukee Brewer. I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Myers, but he looks to be pretty good. So it looks like they're done making any more moves, any additions. And it looks so weird having Craig Kimbrell throwing for the New York Mets. It is so odd. I hope he does good. I would love to see Kimbrell in Queens instead of just rotting away in AAA, but it might he'll probably get called up in April or May. So we'll see. Moving on to Soto. So that's that would be my solution. Just move Mauricio to short. And that's your infield. Bichette, Mauricio, Simeon, Polanco / Beatty / Vientos. Alvarez at catcher. So real quick, now we got secondary news with the Mets yesterday, and it's also big news. And it came right after the Lindor news about his hand. And it's Soto is moving to left field for the 2026 season. Now, this is not a big deal either. People are making it seem like it's the end of the world. Oh, they're coming up with these conspiracies and these excuses on why he's moving to left field. Sean Morash of WFAN said that he moved to left field because he couldn't handle the heat from the Cadillac Club in right field to the fans yelling at him when he was in a slump. That's ridiculous. I think that's ridiculous. Now, maybe, I don't know, but I think that's completely nonsense. He's moving to left field because it kind of makes sense for the Mets. It does. It doesn't solve anything, but it doesn't hurt. It's not a move where you're like, oh my God, now this is screwed up. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't hurt anything. You still now have the same issue in right field. Who's playing right field? Can Carson Bench play right field? I would not have Beatty play right field. I would keep Beatty now as the first base, DH, third base, Jeff McNeil type for the infield. Clearly, they saw how Beatty was in the outfield maybe and said, you know what? We don't really like him in the outfield. He's not acclimating well with left field. So we're definitely not going to put him in right. So they moved Soto. And there's another excuse that Soto is moving to left field for the WBC. Now, this is the only excuse / conspiracy that makes sense. And I have my own issues with the WBC, obviously, as most of you know. The reason being is these players might take it more serious than their major league ball clubs. Now, is it? I don't want to say they take it more serious, and I don't know what I just did, but that's not really what I think. What I think is they find it more important, and they find it very important to show out for their country in the WBC, and especially, it's the one time that these players get to perform for their country in front of their country, and win for their country and represent, rather than a small baseball club in Major League Baseball. So the argument of Soto's moving to left field for the WBC, it makes sense, but not really, not 100%. I think, it came out yesterday that Mendoza had talks with Soto moving left for a while now, even before any news with the WBC, and talks picked up. So the move of Soto going to left field, not a big deal. People are making it seem like it's the end of the world. I don't understand why. I don't think that Carson Benj now. You know, there's still a lot of question marks with this team. It doesn't fix anything, like I said before. It only makes it the same. Now, can Carson Benj take the spot for right field out of spring training? Are they going to try Beatty out there? I don't know. We'll see later today what news comes out. And going back on the Lindor injury thing, we'll find out soon if surgery is required. It probably is required. And if that's the case, then we'll see him in 7 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Opening day's in 7 weeks anyway, so it's not a big deal. There's still question marks, though, with this team. So other news that came out was that Soto could help Luis Robert. And now this excited me as well. These are the 3 big things that came out yesterday for the Mets. Lindor, injury, Soto left field, Soto and Robert's relationship. Why I think Robert is going to have not a monster year, but a good year for the Mets in center field is because of Juan Soto. Soto apparently, according to Scott Boras, now I don't know if we can fully trust Scott Boras and what he says, but according to Boras, he pretty much said that Soto has taken Robert under his wing, getting him acclimated to New York. And Robert will now have... Robert on the White Sox was a star. He was the face of the franchise when he was there. And that's not saying a whole lot, because Robert is not a star by any means. He's a great player, great defensive player, but the guy hits 220, 18 home runs. He's not a star player. But for the White Sox, he was. So now Robert can have the pressure taken off of him a lot. He's no longer the number 1 guy of a club. He's now number 5, number 6, behind Lindor, behind Soto. He doesn't have to overperform. I would love him to, but he doesn't have to go out of his way and carry this ball club. He doesn't need to. Why? Because he has Soto playing right next to him, batting above him 4 or 5 spots. He has Bichette as well. I keep forgetting about Bichette. Bichette was a very underrated pickup this offseason. Bichette's a veteran player. He's still young, but a veteran. He's been here for 6 years. And I think he's 28 or 29. He's a veteran. So that's a huge pickup for the Mets. And it only helps now Robert get more comfortable now, because there's a real chance of winning with this team. I don't think they're going to win it all. I don't think that by any means. But I do think that they'll be way more competitive than the 120 loss White Sox. And I think that will give Robert more of an incentive to perform better and work harder than he did before. And I think that's key in this team and how Stearns structured it. He put a team together that not star-studded, but could be, and could follow veteran presence like Polanco and Simeon. Soto's a veteran. Lindor. Bichette. Minaya in the rotation. Senga in the rotation. Senga's not a veteran, but he could be. He could very well be that guy that leads in that clubhouse. Now, I want to throw it over to the catching role in Francisco Alvarez and how important he has to be this year. Last year, when he started off hot. He started off hitting, I think it was like 350 in the first month or whatever it was, first couple of weeks. And he hurt his hand. And that we saw it was a similar injury. I don't know if it was the hamate bone, but it was a hand injury, and we saw it made Alvarez decline from the start that he hurt. It was his thumb. From the start he hurt his thumb, the decline started for the rest of the year for Alvarez. Now he's fully healthy. He's slimmed down a whole lot. And that's very important for Alvarez. Slimming down is very important for professional players. We saw it with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He slimmed down a lot, and he's gotten better defensively. He's gotten better offensively. So we see it with Alvarez now. He slimmed down a lot. And hopefully he's worked out with Salvador Perez. It came out. There was a video shown earlier this week that he was working out with Salvador Perez. And that, you working out with Salvador Perez, I would hope you have a better year than you did the year before. Working out with a Hall of Fame catcher. But Alvarez, although he's just a catcher, he's got to lead that rotation. He calls great games. He's a fine game caller. But this is his year now to prove to himself and everyone else that he belongs on this team, that he deserves a spot as the starting catcher. And I'm not asking for 30 home runs. I'm asking for 20 home runs to bat 270. Anything else, if he bats 250 with 10 home runs, that's a disappointment. Coming up, he was the number one prospect in baseball at one point because of his power. And he hasn't shown the power yet. Really, only 1 year, 2023, I believe it was, where he hit 25 home runs. But that was it. After that, he hurt his hand in 24. He hurt his hand in 25. And he's a big question mark going into 26. Now, hopefully he can turn it around, and hopefully he becomes that leader in that clubhouse and on the field, sort of the captain, so to speak. Because that's what we need out of him. We're not asking for, Gary Carter over here, but we are asking for that prospect, number one prospect, Francisco Alvarez, to show up at some point. And now's the time. This is the year for Alvarez to prove himself. If not, I wouldn't be shocked if they move on from him. Now, going back to a point that I wanted to make and completely forgot about for Francisco Lindor, this injury does worry me for this perspective. Because this injury for Lindor is going to take away his power, will it affect his bat speed? And we see it all the time with these baseball players. Once the bat speed goes, the career kind of falls apart. He's no longer an offensive player. He gets in his own head, and now it affects him defensively, and now his career's over. Now, can it affect it to that extent? Hopefully not. Hopefully it's just, injured my hand, we got it fixed. We took the hamate bone out, or we screwed it back together, or whatever the case may be. Does this become another, quote-unquote, David Wright situation where he just gets injured, a freak accident, and now his career starts to spiral out of control? My point earlier that I made in a previous episode, should you have traded Francisco Alvarez? Was now the time. You saw the decline in 25 of his defense. It was his worst defensive season ever in his career. Was now the time to move on from him. If you blew up the core with losing Nimmo, losing Diaz, losing Alonso, losing McNeil, could you have just moved on from Lindor as well? And I said to myself, well, kinda. I think you should have. Now, is this a bit of an overreaction to the injury? Yeah. But I think it was, is he the troublemaker in that clubhouse? Ever since he got here, there every single year has been a story about the clubhouse, about there being an issue in the clubhouse. Now, it's happened before in 2018 with Jason Vargas. There was a whole issue in the clubhouse, and Mickey Callaway stunk. He had no control over his clubhouse. One of the worst managers ever. And that was 2 years, 3 years before Lindor got here. But ever since, it's been consistently every year that something has come out about this clubhouse. And is Lindor that problem? The reason why they didn't name Nimmo captain was because Lindor might have gotten upset at that. And I think Lindor, or I think Nimmo deserved to be captain. Was I sad to see Nimmo go? Yeah, I was. Because I think he deserved to be the team captain. He was here, homegrown guy. Lindor wasn't a homegrown guy. But I think Nimmo deserved the captain role. But his time came very quickly that he needed to be moved on from in this organization. I mean, I can see Lindor finishing his time here with New York and retiring a Met. So I don't want to say you got to trade him now or you got to trade him next year. I don't think you trade him. I don't think he's going to have a lot of value. Let's say he comes out of this injury and he has a bad year. His value is completely gone now. Now his defense showed a sign of decrease. It decreased a lot last year. His offense was there, though. He still hit for power. He still hit a lot for RBIs. I'm not 100% sure on the average, but it probably wasn't terrible. But I don't think I think they should have moved on from him now. This offseason was the time to just move on from him, but I don't think they're going to, especially after this injury. And hopefully he doesn't become more injury prone in the near future. And the conspiracy with Lindor's injury now is because of the WBC. And this is why I can't stand the WBC. It's because every time the WBC goes on, there's always conspiracies with these players and injuries. And, the day after Lindor can't make the WBC, he's not insured, whatever that means. I'm not 100% sure how you qualify for the WBC. I thought you kind of just say, I want to play, and they put you on the team. I don't know. But apparently he wasn't insured to play on the WBC. And he didn't get on the team. And now the next day he's complaining about his hand. That's the conspiracy people are saying. I'm not buying into it just yet. Because this is an injury that he's dealt with previously. He's dealt with this injury previously. And he dealt with it in 2024. He dealt with his back in 2024. There was no WBC in 2024. So he's had injuries now consistently with the Mets, and he's played through them, and he's played very decently through them. Carried the Mets in 24 to the playoffs and through them. Ultimately, they fell short, but he did his best with a bad back. So I'm not buying into my hand hurts because I can't play in the WBC just yet. This was an injury that he got last year and played through it. And that's who Lindor is. That's who Francisco Lindor is. He's the player that's going to play through injuries. He played through it, through a bad back. I mean, that's impossible to do. And he did very well on a bad back. So I don't think he's the type of player to complain and make up an injury. I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It's proved in the X-rays. You think he purposely broke his hand the day after? These conspiracies are ridiculous. So I don't think, again, hopefully nothing ends up going too well. He doesn't have any setbacks, hopefully. If surgery is required, we'll find out probably soon, probably around the 1 o'clock in the 1 o'clock hour, 2 o'clock hour, about his near future. If surgery is required, I would throw in Ronnie Mauricio into that shortstop role for now. For now, I don't think he's going to be in there for very long as a shortstop because this injury is only 6 weeks needed for rehab and getting back out there for Lindor. So right now, this team, I still have faith in this team. So again, only day one of spring training, pitchers and catchers reported. So we'll see where it ends up. But that's pretty much it for now with the Mets news. News came out yesterday, so we'll talk more about it next week. If more stuff comes out about injuries. I mean, talking about injuries now, the Yankees got to be worried. Not to make this now a segue into the Yankees, but the Yankees better duck because their entire team's now injury prone. You look at Anthony Volpe, you look at Stanton, you look at Judge, you look at Jason Dominguez, you look at Trent Grisham. If one of these guys go down, one of them, their season kind of is derailed. You know, if Carlos Rodon, something happened with Rodon, now he's out until August. I mean, that rotation's in shambles then. Garrett Cole has a setback. He's out until next year. Team's in shambles if anything happens to the Yankees. So the Yankees, wrap your players in bubble wrap. Because although you guys are getting additions in Cole and Clark Schmidt and Luis Heel, these are additions that are injury prone still. They're not new additions that aren't injury prone. These are additions that you say are coming off of an injury list because they missed a whole year before. Now, if hopefully Cole comes back and he's healthy and he's back to his Cole form, I don't think he'll ever be up there in that ace category ever again. I think those days are over. He's had just too many injuries since that have set him back years. I think he's still good enough to be a number 3 or a number 2 even. But right now, as this Yankee team stands, they have Fried, they have Schlittler, they have Rodon, they have Cole, and they have Clark Schmidt in that rotation. Luis Heel. I think the Yankees should have done more, and that's why I think the Yankees, if injuries do happen to them, they're more prone to having a very, very tough time getting over it. Whereas the Mets have built a great depth team. Their depth is very good. They signed MJ Melendez. I don't really know anything about him. Coming from the Royals, 4 years. With the Royals, he wasn't really great. I mean, he's just a backup guy. They have Tyrone Taylor that can play some right field as well. So their depth, the Mets, is a lot better than the Yankees' depth. So the Yankees better pray to God that no injuries happen. And because, again, if they do, then season's derailed, especially with Judge. If Judge goes down, the season goes down. I know I've joked about it before saying that, without Judge, you guys will still win 95-plus games. That might be true. But if, as it stands right now, this team, the Yankees, they could be in trouble if an injury happens to them. Now, hopefully not. I'm not one to pray for injuries. I can't stand the Yankees, but I don't pray for anyone to be injured. So the Yankees better pray to God or whoever they believe in that nobody gets hurt, because these injury reports are coming out like they're spreading like wildfires right now. Josh Hader just went down with an arm injury. Corbin Carroll at the Diamondbacks. Francisco Lindor yesterday. And Jackson Holliday earlier today. This is baseball. This is what happens now. These players sit on their couch at home for 3 months, rotting away, and the second they start ramping it back up, they get injured. So again, hopefully nothing happens to the Yankees because it'd be really bad for them. It'd be very bad. No real new additions. No real new additions. But with that being said, we'll look to see what happens next week. Hopefully some more news comes out. Hopefully the X-rays on Lindor are negative and he doesn't really need surgery. Or the X-rays are positive, but hopefully they're getting a second opinion, and hopefully they say that he's not really needed for surgery. Even if he can play through it injured, I'll take it. But at this point, I think I'd rather just have him do the surgery, get it over with, have him miss spring training, come back strong and healthy to go, and healthy and ready to go for opening day in the first week of opening day. So to left field, we'll see about right field. We'll see who they get. If they sign anyone for right field, I don't know. I'm not sure also when the WBC starts, but we'll talk more about the WBC as the weeks progress. And we'll keep an eye out on this team and on this rotation. We'll see how Jonah Tong does. If he has a good spring, I don't think he'll ultimately start in the rotation to start the year. I don't think Christian Scott is either. I think the rotation's set with McLean, Peterson, Minaya, Senga, and Freddie Peralta. I think that rotation's set. 5-man rotation. And I think everyone else starts the year either in the bullpen or in AAA. But with that being said, that's episode 3 of the Mincin Show. And we'll catch you guys next week. And hopefully more news comes out soon. So with that being said, I'm Eric Mincin of the Mincin Show. Thank you for stopping by. Episode 3 done in the books. And we'll catch you on episode 4. Have a good one, guys.